Hello BookTube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching Books I'm Not Reading. I am here today for my very first Shaketube 2020 video. Shaketube is of course a month-long celebration of all things Shakespeare, and we have 4 fantastic hosts this year. Rainy Day Reads, my husband Jason from Old Blues Chapter and Verse, Steve Donahue, and the founder of Shaketube, Lukash at Totally Pretentious. So thanks to all of the hosts. I also want to point out what a geek I am because I actually bought this Shakespeare shirt just for Shaketube. If anyone had told me even 10 years ago that I would do that, I'm not sure I would believe him. But yes, so I read 2 plays this week. I read Romeo and Juliet, which was hosted by Rainy at Rainy Day Reads, and I also read Much Ado About Nothing, which Jason was the moderator for, so I will link to both of those videos down below. It is quite foolish in hindsight to try to make one video about 2 Shakespeare plays, but I think I just wanted to share with you kind of my reading experiences with both of these plays. You know, obviously one's a tragedy, one's a comedy. Romeo and Juliet seems like it was written maybe 1595, 1597, somewhere in there, maybe a little bit earlier, nobody really knows. Again, we know it's a tragedy right from the very beginning. I read this book when I was 14 for freshman year English. We only read 2 Shakespeare plays the whole 4 years of high school, and I only read 1 Shakespeare play in college. So I am. I think I said in my Friday Reads video that I always feel rusty, but for some reason, when I start reading a Shakespeare play, I feel rusty. But that's not the case because I'm just a beginner when it comes to Shakespeare. But I, for some reason, thought Romeo and Juliet was going to be a really easy read. And I don't know if that's because I thought I read it when I was 14 and I made a drippy little booklet full of my favorite passages from the play. I'm not sure. Or because I'd seen... we also watched in class In Spite of the Nudity in Romeo and Juliet. This is the Franco Zeffirelli film adaptation, and I just watched this again last night for the first time in a really, really long time. So, but it was hard. It was hard reading, and I was really surprised by some of the things that happened on the page that we don't see necessarily when we see it performed or in the film adaptations of Romeo and Juliet. And yeah, it was really challenging. I think you can see the bags under my eyes from trying to get through both these plays. I also think the minuscule font of this particular version didn't help matters very much. But I was really struck by, of course we read this in the States, at least in high school, because it's about teenagers, and so there is something about, like, and tell me if I'm wrong. Like, when I was a teenager, I felt everything so intensely, and you know, every emotion was just all the way, like, 100% full on, and I really felt that from Romeo and Juliet, and I was so impressed by Juliet as a character. She has a lot of guts for a girl who is not even, she's almost 14 years old. So, and she's really the one who tells Romeo, like, hey, we should get married, you know, like, let's get married tomorrow. I always laugh, when people are like, "Oh, we're getting married tomorrow." It's just like this is a very lighthearted decision. It was fascinating to see the things on the page that, I didn't remember. The very end scene where Juliet is, she's going to wake up shortly from the drug that she's received from Friar Lawrence, and Romeo doesn't know that, of course, and but that scene in the play is so different than it is typically portrayed in films and stage adaptations. There's a lot more that happens down there. And yeah, I just found it, it just caught me off guard, I guess, is what I want to say. And it reminded me, and I'm going to say the same dang thing again about Much Ado About Nothing, is reminding me why we need to read Shakespeare and keep reading Shakespeare is because, people like me who watch the movies a ton and we think we know it. But we don't. We don't really know. But we also return to seeing the plays on stage and seeing the films because Shakespeare gives so little in the way of stage instructions, and also, there's just something about the facial expressions of an actor. He doesn't write about kissing, and he doesn't write about, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of a good example here. He doesn't write about, the emotional side of things that just can't be captured in some sort of stage direction or something like that. It's very much up to, and that's why Shakespeare is performed by the best actors, because it takes that much to convey all of those things that aren't really written on the line. And I was just thinking about the scene where Juliet and Romeo first see each other, and how, and of course this isn't in the play, I'm referring to the film now, but they're just, they just instantly fall in love. Instantly. And it's electric when the actors are on, if you will. And I think in, so Much Ado About Nothing, I had not read before. This was my first reading of it. But I have seen, and I know some of you are such Kenneth Branagh fans, I have seen Much Ado About Nothing a lot, in part because it's just glorious, and there are things that you can do in a film that you can never do on stage, and you can never get from a reading of it. Again, so the opening of this film, I'm embarrassed to say this, but it made me cry. It was so beautiful. And I looked at Jason and I said, "Do you think Shakespeare would like this?" And he's like, "Why are you crying?" But I think Shakespeare would be so happy to see his comedy, lifted up a whole other level, I think. And again, you can tell me what you guys think about these adaptations in the comments section, but I had seen that film so many times, and I still remember seeing the first time I saw it, because I didn't understand what was going to happen at the end. And so I was very confused by this whole, who Claudio was actually going to marry. I will agree with one of the points that Jason makes, is that, Jason calls Claudio some names, but really Hero should have had a moment to really kind of say, "Hey buddy, you really should trust me, you should believe me a little bit more than you do." However, again, when I read this, there's so much in here. There's so many just little scenes that aren't in the film. And in the film, there are lines that Shakespeare did not write. So, yeah, it was a really great kind of, I guess, I don't know, just wake-up call or takeaway or whatever, that we have to keep, like, going back and forth between these things to make sure that we remember what Shakespeare wrote, but also to see how other people, how other visionary, directors take that play and turn it into, and put their stamp on it, I guess, if you will. So, again, I really enjoyed reading both of these plays. And I'm already looking forward to returning to them, I guess. Next thing that I just wanted to share with you guys in this very brief video. So I've been debating about whether or not I was going to read Hamlet at the end of Shaketube, because we only have one copy of Hamlet, and Jason's a moderator, so I didn't want us to be fighting over a copy of Hamlet, so I was kind of like, well, and believe me, I have so much left from what I had planned to read in August that I haven't read, that it's kind of like, well, maybe that would be for the best. However, one of you wonderful people who, I don't know, like, saw into my mind and bought me a copy of Hamlet with Benedict Cumberbatch on the cover. Oh my goodness. There was a lot of teenage girl shrieking going on when I opened up the package. Like, I didn't know this was out there, for one thing. And second of all, now I never thought it'd be like, oh, I'm so happy we own 2 copies of Hamlet. But this one is definitely mine, and I feel like maybe this and this little copy of Romeo and Juliet are the only 2 Shakespeare plays that are really more Kelly-centric. I don't know what that says about me, but anyway, this is this cover picture. Let's show you how beautiful that is from a 2015 production of Hamlet with Benedict. Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine what that must have been like to see. So now I will try to get to Hamlet, and I really want to thank the person who sent this to me. You brought me a lot of joy, so thank you so much. And yeah, you definitely didn't need to do that, but I'm incredibly grateful nonetheless. All right, BookTube, I would love to hear what you think about Much Ado About Nothing and Romeo and Juliet. There should be, just clutter the comment sections with your thoughts. I think one of you told me that you thought Romeo was flat. It's just not a very interesting character, so I'd love to hear more about that. And of course, Jason had a different perspective on some of the relationships in Much Ado About Nothing. So yeah, and if you want to bash Kenneth Branagh in the comments section, Mark Nash, I'm talking to you. You can, but I will still stand by him. So, BookTube, remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I will talk to you very soon. Take care.